Today on Inclusion Unlimited, we are diving into something that can shake a person's world in an instant, facing a sudden onset disability. Now, I've said it before, the disabled community is the largest minority in the world and the only one that any of us could find ourselves being a part of without warning. Last time we shared Dano's story, and if you missed it, I urge you to go back and watch. It was really powerful. And it made us ask, well, what happens when your life changes in an instant? When a stroke, an accident, or an unexpected diagnosis takes away the life you once knew? Where do you turn? How do you find the strength to move forward? Joining me now is someone who knows firsthand how to help people navigate this overwhelming journey. Dawn Dixon is the Executive Director of Connectability, and she's here now to talk about finding hope and support when you need it the most. Welcome to Inclusion Unlimited, Dawn.
Thank you.
Let's start with telling everybody about Connectability.
Sure. So Connectability was founded in 2016 as an initiative of the Warm Springs Foundation. And if you're familiar with Warm Springs hospitals here in the community, the Warm Springs Foundation actually had the very first hospital in Gonzales, Texas in the 1940s.
Wow.
And served children of all races and ethnicities with polio at that time. So fast forward, what we do at Connectability is, as a programmatic initiative, is provide care coordination. We offer support groups and caregiver support, education for people facing that kind of instant disability. Traumatic brain injury, stroke, spinal cord injury, amputation, or those similar disabling conditions that kind of have the same challenges.
Well, let's talk about the emotional impact of the people that do suddenly find themselves with a disability, and not just for them, but how it impacts their family and their loved ones.
Yeah. So I think, you know, like anything, with that sudden, you're driving to work one day, and the next day you may be in the hospital with paralysis if you have a car accident. So I think it takes a great deal of time for the inevitability of what a person's new normal is going to look like, not only for the person, but for their family, just like you said. You enter into a world of things that I think people never expect that they would have to know about.
And they've never researched it usually, because why would they?
Right. And, you know, health systems, insurance systems are not easy. I think with a catastrophic injury like a traumatic brain injury or spinal cord injury, amputation, stroke, none of us have the level of insurance that we need. We're all underinsured when it comes to this kind of
scary
traumatic event. So what we try to do is, if possible, start working with that person before they're discharged from the rehab hospital.
Well, that brings me to a question.
Yeah.
What are the first steps that you would advise someone if they find themselves with a sudden, life-altering disability? What's the first thing you need to do?
Right. So you wake up in the hospital, typically, and you'll have a social worker who will be assigned to you in the hospital. I would say start asking those questions about next steps, dealing with insurance, dealing with lack of insurance. And then ask that social worker to start compiling a list of community resources that you never knew existed, because you didn't have to know they existed.
Right.
To start feeling that you have some control over something, because you do.
Well, how would you advise communities, organizations, what can they do to be more helpful in this arena?
Yeah. You know, I think here in San Antonio and Bexar County, I feel like we have a great safety net, if you will. There's definitely some holes in it, but I think that we have nonprofit organizations in this community do a wonderful job, in my opinion.
It's true.
Of letting people know that they're there, ensuring that if someone calls, they're served as quickly as they possibly can be served. So I think reaching out, once you've gotten that list, start reaching out. Have a loved one, start reaching out. Once that social worker gives you those community-based resources, have that loved one or the person start reaching out and saying, hey, this is my situation. Is there anything you can do for me?
Well, I got to tell you, we're so happy that you're part of Morgan's MAC, which of course is what we're all about, trying to unite all of these different agencies and resources and help navigate the almost impossible path of finding the help you need.
We call it the impenetrable maze.
And it's true.
Because it's a challenge.
So if someone is watching right now, and let's say their loved one, or maybe even they, just experienced a sudden disability that's pretty catastrophic, what would you tell them? What's your advice to them?
I would tell them just what you said. There are agencies and community resources that are there to prop you up when you feel like you can't go another step. There are resources in this community. We are so lucky. The MAC is a tremendous resource, and the web of partners that the MAC has put together are tremendous resources. So collectively, there are community resources that can prop you up until you can prop yourself up.
You don't have a disability, but you're passionate about this. And what we're trying to do here at the Inclusion Unlimited is bring people together of all abilities. Why should people care, and why should they be involved?
I think it's a basic human right to be able to participate in your community of choice. And I think that's truly what inclusion is being able to participate as fully as you want to in your community. Again, I think that that's a basic human right.
And do you get personal satisfaction out of the help that you give?
Oh, it's a privilege. It really is a privilege to be able to work with these families and these individuals, see the resiliency. I think in our darkest days, people are more resilient than we give anyone credit for.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I think that is so true.
And there's a lot more good than there isn't.
Well, if somebody wants to know more about connectability, how do they find out more?
Yeah, so our website is www.myconnectability.org. They can go there. That's the best thing, I think, because it has, you can make a referral through there if you're a person, if you're a person with a disability, a family member, a professional, and it really has a good outline of all the services we provide. Because, as I said, besides care coordination, which is really that hand-holding, navigating benefits, you know, we also have community building events, and to me, that's equally as important, because sometimes people feel very isolated from the community that they had.
myconnectability.org. Dawn, always a pleasure. You know I love you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And as always, thank you for being with us. Like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you next time. Remember, together we are making a difference.